Hi, I'm a Possum and I find garbage. Today's garbage is Smash Squatch, a loathsome movie about nothing from 2025. There's a reason I called Suburban Sasquatch simultaneously the best and worst Bigfoot movie ever made, a quote which actually made it onto the back of the official Blu-ray release, which tells me I'm at least partially to blame for it. For all its technical incompetence and baffling storytelling decisions, it still has sincerity, and the plot is always moving forward. They don't do that self-aware, oh, look at me, I'm doing it bad on purpose, wink at the audience bullshit as an excuse for a movie that's not even bad in a funny way, but just boring and frustrating. Smash Squatch not only fails to live up to the lofty standards set by Suburban Sasquatch, it doesn't even try to. It doesn't even have a Sasquatch in it. It's clickbait. It's lies. It's all lies. This movie lied to me, and it lied to God. Oh, it's Sasquatch. How predictable. Possum work on another review? Yeah, it's called Smash Squatch, which is obviously a pun on Sasquatch, but there ain't no Sasquatch in it. Sasquatch movie with no Sasquatch? That cultural appropriation! Who gives a shit? The movie starts with a rap song, which I hesitate to even call a rap song because it's just the word Smash Squatch repeated over and over. Smash Squatch. Smash Squatch. Smash Squatch. Oh, the music's AI generated. Well, as we're about to see, they would have been better off if they just used AI to generate the entire f***ing movie. We cut to a missing person poster being looked at by some woman. You ever just look at someone and instantly know what their politics are? She's some kind of hitchhiker. A car picks her up.
You need a ride?
Yeah, thank you.
And the girl mentions she's on her way to Seattle. Why am I not surprised? For some reason, they don't show the driver until a minute later, and we see his face looks like someone's been using it as a dartboard. Also, I think this is supposed to be nighttime. You know, day for night doesn't really work when you show the sky and it's overexposed.
I like to think that I'm pretty prepared.
That's good. That's good. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Don't know what she just said? Well, you better get used to it. So he kinda just drives silently for a while when suddenly this happens. We get a stock photo of a sign, and this girl wakes up on the ground outside the car. I think the implication is that the car crashed. You know, even if you don't have the budget to crash a car in your movie, you could have at least put in a sound effect. Or maybe the implication is the guy slammed on his brakes and made her bang her head on the dashboard. But there's no sound effect for that either, so I don't know. Anyway, this idiot finds herself in the woods, and we see a guy holding a plastic Halloween baseball bat with fake barbed wire on it. The girl starts running and the guy follows. Couldn't get a second take of a guy walking, huh? The girl hides in the guy and then she trips and he catches up. We get a title, and then we cut to some terrible true crime podcast run by two people who I'm gonna call Alexandria Ocasio-Colastasis and Billy Rubin. They talk about a series of people disappearing in the town of Rainbow Lake, Montana, which also happens to be famous for its Bigfoot sightings.
That the world was captivated by the grainiest, yet most compelling footage ever captured.
But of course, the people who made this movie couldn't make this footage for their movie because that would require them to be filmmakers, so they just used still images taken from Google. They also talk about a stock photo baseball player named James Dalton who, in 1982, was found bludgeoned to death along with his wife, and his kid mysteriously disappeared and was supposedly taken by Sasquatch.
That sounds like a plot coming out of a bad movie.
F*** off. But the kid's not the only person who's gone missing over the years, and the disappearances have been blamed on Sasquatch. Billy Rubin suggests that's bullshit, and the town is covering up murders and blaming them on Sasquatch to promote Bigfoot tourism.
The idea that a community could collectively harbor a dark secret isn't unheard of in the annals of true crime.
She said anal. So after taking a whole f***ing 8 minutes, yes, 8 f***ing minutes, to dump this exposition in the most clunky and uncreative way possible, this failed OnlyFans model named Annie wakes up to answer her phone, and we watch her waste even more screen time washing her face. Then the movie does that thing where they show the text message conversation as on-screen text floating next to the character, but it's the worst implementation of this gimmick I have ever seen. Anyway, it's something about her baby daddy, who's literally named Baby Daddy, taking their kid for the weekend. Annie goes out to her car, then we get a POV driving shot where we hear the radio talking about nothing important, and then we cut to this girl named Ruby f***ing around on her phone. F***ing around is a recurring theme in this movie, so be ready for it. She calls her friend and says something about not being able to contact her sister, who we can assume is the girl we saw at the beginning. I'm just gonna spoil it now. The missing sister thing never amounts to anything. I don't think she's ever even mentioned again after this. Anyway, this is interspersed with more of her just screwing around on her phone to fill up time, and then Annie shows up in her car. Ruby gets in, and then they fill up even more time talking about coffee before they start driving. Jesus Christ. So now we're introduced to Beth, also talking on her phone because that's apparently the only way to introduce a character now. Ruby tells her boyfriend or husband or whatever the f*** he is that she, Annie, and Ruby are going on a trip. Then Annie and Ruby come in. So I guess the Daddy Issues gang is here, and they f*** around talking about snacks for a minute. You may have noticed that every shot with windows has them covered up. This is because whatever smartphone they used to film this had like 3 stops of dynamic range, and they couldn't expose for the inside and the outside at the same time. They leave, and then we get another pointless POV driving scene where the radio says something we're meant to think is important but isn't, about the creepy gas station that some people theorize is involved in the disappearances.
Yeah, it's like every horror movie cliche rolled into one.
F*** off. This is the second time this movie has done this, but calling attention to your movie's shittiness is not clever. All it tells me is that you know how bad it is, but you made it anyway without any skill or effort, like you're rubbing it in my face how little respect you have for your audience. Suck my dick, and then wipe your mouth with your f***ing gender studies degree. They stop at the gas station and some fat tub of f*** asks them where they're going, and the Daddy Issues gang, yes I'm gonna keep calling them that, tells this total stranger that they're gonna go spend the weekend at a cabin in the mountains. And then a different fat tub of f*** who's meant to be a police officer butts in, and tells them to be careful up there.
Crowd protection.
I mean, I've got a line over here.
So from what I could just barely make out over the sound of the cars driving by, Beth says she has a gun. You know, guns can be pretty handy sometimes, particularly when life gets difficult and you run out of options. But if you don't have one, there's all sorts of things you can use, like a rope, a razor blade, a bridge, a bottle of pills. Really anything can be useful in a self-defense situation.
Possum! What that? Pills? You threw bottle of pills at Sasquatch?
Sorry, you startled me. Actually, I'm not sorry. Go f*** yourself, you synesthesia son of a bitch.
Your insult tastes bad.
Yeah? Well, I'm giving you my insults for free, so you can't complain.
Well, you know what not free? Your $10 Patreon shout-out.
Put it at the end. Everyone's just gonna skip it anyway.
Oh, okay.
We get another driving POV, and then the Daddy Issues gang sit in their car and talk about Annie's baby daddy while the car sits parked, because filming inside a moving car is too difficult, apparently. They pass around a joint, and Beth records a video message from one of her clients.
It was a client. Oh, scandal. Listen, Kevin knows. It's actually how we paid for our trip last summer.
Oh, she's a sex worker. You know, this little detail doesn't add anything to the story. It's never mentioned again. You could be doing literally anything with this scene to make us like these characters, but they actively chose not to. They hide their joint as an invisible cop drives by, and then we get more driving POV, and they pull up to the cabin and the camera follows their feet for some reason, and I assume it's because they're trying to avoid showing something that would have ruined the illusion that this suburban house is a cabin in the woods. They comment on the decor, then f*** around drinking wine for a while, and we get a montage of them f***ing around in the woods while awful acoustic guitar stock music plays. Why is this in the movie? Because they didn't need permits to film there. After that pointless diversion, they go back to the house and talk about what they're gonna eat while someone watches them from outside through the window. Oh, finally, something's about to happen 37 minutes into this 75-minute movie. Yes, we're at the fucking midpoint, and all that's happened is a bunch of blunt exposition, directionless prattling, and filler. They realize there's nothing to eat, so Beth decides to go back down to the gas station for food. But once she opens the door, there's some guy outside who the movie shows for half a second in an overexposed shot, so we can't even see what he looks like, and then it just holds on her for the whole conversation. This might be intentional, but everything else so far has led me to believe that's incompetence. Anyway, the guy tells her there's a trail nearby, and I can't understand anything else he says, but I think he's trying to warn them about something. Then the Daddy Issues gang call him creepy for having the audacity to talk to them while someone looks in on them and the camera autofocuses on the dirt on the window. And then they have a whole conversation that I can't f***ing understand.
Welcome to rustic living.
Sorry, honey.
Annie goes outside to use the outhouse. Yes, this quote-unquote cabin has a TV and refrigerator, but no indoor toilet, apparently. Then nothing happens. Then we cut to some ogreish hippie disappointing his parents while the bad guy from the beginning walks up to him wearing a gorilla mask, and we all know what's gonna happen. Stop drawing it out, just get on with it, you f***ing boring piece of garbage movie. I hate you. Gorilla Guy kills the hippie because he deserves it for being a hippie, and we cut back to the girls going back into the house, and apparently it's nighttime now because it took Annie like 2 hours to take a dump. Then they talk about getting food again. Beth goes to get the food, leaving Annie and Ruby, who unfortunately don't start making out. They prattle some more, and then Ruby decides to go out into the woods in the dark, alone, and the movie actually comments on how stupid this is.
You really have to wonder what's going through someone's mind when they think, I'll just be fine by myself.
Look at me! I made a self-aware movie! Wink wink! F*** you. So we get to watch Annie just lay there, listening to that stupid podcast again, and we cut to Ruby walking around the woods while Gorilla Guy puts his mask back on and starts following her from like 10 feet away, and she can't see him. He pops out, then Ruby pulls a gun on him. Yeah, I guess she took Beth's gun at some point. But if anyone said anything about it, I couldn't f***ing make it out in the dialogue. Anyway, Gorilla Guy refuses to back off, so Ruby pulls the trigger, but it turns out it's a toy gun, so she runs away. Oh, actually, she slowly walks away. Gorilla Guy catches up by casually walking toward her and hits her in the stomach with the bat, and then this happens. Then Gorilla Guy talks to the cop from earlier, nothing important happens, and we cut to Beth driving around, listening to some guy on the radio talking about fucking Twilight.
Let's talk about Edward Cullen. He's got sparkle, he's got intensity. I mean, this guy waited over 100 years for Bella.
Is this supposed to be funny? This movie came out in 2025. Twilight hasn't been relevant since 2012. The f*** is even happening? Then we see some guy who's supposed to be the sheriff talking about the Daddy Issues gang on the radio, to who I assume is the cop in the car we just saw.
10-4, make sure it doesn't get out of hand.
10-4, heard, no survivors.
So I guess Billy Rubin was right. The town is conspiring to kill people. Annie and Beth go out into the woods to look for Ruby, and these two idiots decide to split up. The movie reuses that shot of Gorilla Guy's feet from the beginning, even leaving in the camera smacking into something on the ground. Then the girls walk around for a while, and Annie finds something and calls Beth over, and she immediately shows up, so the whole splitting up thing was pointless. And she shows her the mannequin head that's supposed to be Ruby's head, even though the hair isn't even the right color, and then they run away. They hear a distant growling sound, and Gorilla Guy comes shuffling out from behind a tree and chases them. And by chases them, I mean he slowly walks after them because the camera operator never felt like running to follow an actor. Annie and Beth get in the car, but of course it won't start. Beth tells Annie that Ruby had her gun, but regardless, she decides to go make a stand and fight Gorilla Guy, and I guess she just happens to have a pair of those Filipino fighting sticks now.
I'm on my f***ing period, and I'm not doing this anymore.
A fight ensues. So after a 7-second fight, it looks like Beth has the upper hand, but she doesn't immediately strike the guy down, so he hits her in the stomach and then smashes her head with the bat.
No!
So Annie just goes back to the cabin and closes all the windows, then sits on the floor while Gorilla Guy tries to open the door, realizes it's locked, then pulls out a set of keys and just lets himself in. Annie fucking trips while trying to escape and gets caught, and then it's too dark to see what's happening, but the end result is Annie escapes. Then the radio talks about horror movie tropes over a black screen because a movie as incompetent as this thinks it has the right to pretentiously deconstruct the horror genre, and then we cut to Annie standing outside the cabin with the cop. The cop goes into the cabin and looks around the living room for 3 seconds before calling out and telling Annie there's no one in there. He gets Annie to go inside, and then he grabs her as the gorilla guy comes walking up. And it's so dark that I can't see what's happening, but the cop falls over, then Annie grabs a gun and shoots gorilla guy, then leaves. You know, when they spent 8 minutes dumping exposition on us at the beginning, I thought that thing about the kid of the baseball player going missing would eventually amount to something. It would have been really predictable if it turned out that he was the guy in the gorilla mask killing people with a bat, but that at least would have been something. And if that actually was the case, I guess I missed it because I can only understand about a third of the dialogue in this movie. But I don't think the missing kid ever comes up again. So they spent 8 minutes telling us all this backstory, and it was a complete waste of time. It defies all storytelling logic. And then we get more radio over a black screen. Can this movie just f*** off already? In the shadows of the Rainbow Mountain. Oh, it's f***ing off. So the movie ends after only 65 minutes, so we get literally 10 fucking minutes of the slowest scrolling credits I have ever seen to get this movie to the 75 minutes that the distributor asked for. This is shameless. This movie has no respect for its audience. It doesn't even have a Sasquatch in it. Thanks for wasting my time. Donald Trump is still your president. F*** you.
So that's Smash Squatch. Now it's time for $10 patrons! Earl Explodes, Annihilator X, Macalac, Ben Davenport, Diesel Weasel, Dire Angel, Dirty Mike, and
I bet this guy doesn't have an inner monologue. Probably can't even rotate an apple in his mind. In fact, I'm gonna rotate an apple right now, just to spite him. Yeah, that's a good apple rotating right there. I'm so much better than this guy. I bet he doesn't even get fan art. Yeah, that's some good fan art right there.
Studios YouTube channel, XXX Grunt X Zenith and Sun 95. Okay, me done.
Alright, yeah, thanks. End the video now.